The night the announcement came, the city didn't cheer so much as lean forward. Researchers said it plainly. Humans no longer needed sleep. People already awake, nurses, bakers, parents with infants, kept going and waited for the crash that never arrived. Midnight, then 2, then 4. No fog, no clumsy tongue, no gravity behind the eyes. By the end of the week, nightlife lost its border. Restaurants discovered a second dinner. Libraries opened blue-hour desks. Mira, who stitched leather and repaired clocks, moved a lamp to the window and wrote, "New hours, always." At 3 a.m., a violinist asked for a strap, and a courier brought a watch that had drowned in a storm. At first, it felt like a gift of time, a treaty signed with the dark. Couples walked until sunrise without counting minutes. Teenagers learned star names, but gifts swaddle knives. Employers widened schedules like mouths. Flexible became demand more than permission. The city tried on rules like borrowed coats. Quiet hours were proposed, shelved, revived as courtesy rather than law. A group called Keeping the Dark asked offices to dim after 2 a.m., not because anyone needed sleep, but because the stars did. They hosted midnight picnics with no screens allowed. Mira invented a ritual before someone else wrote one for her. She called it the Hour of Uselessness, and inked it into her ledger like any job. No orders, no repairs, no messages. Just a chair by the door, a thermos of tea, and whatever wandered up the street. People sat with her for reasons they could not explain. "If we never waste an hour," she told a friend, "we'll mislearn the rest." New crafts arrived to meet the new time. Night gardeners adopted flowers that opened when day finished speaking. A school split its timetable. Mathematics with the sun, poetry with the moon. Not everyone blossomed. Some grew brittle without the antique kindness of collapse. Sleep had been a truce. Without it, feuds extended and attention frayed. There was no exhaustion, but there was an echo. Thoughts walked so far they misplaced themselves. A few fled to cabins that rented darkness by the hour. 1 month in, the power company scheduled a planned blackout. Protests flared, curiosity won. Candles appeared in windows. Chairs came out to stoops. Neighbors recognized each other by the sound of names in the dark. On the hill past the rail yard, someone tuned a radio to piano pieces that floated like lanterns. Mira carried bread and sat among strangers who became less strange as the night grew honest. Commerce adapted as it does. Subscription services sold curated darkness. Clubs promised handheld stars. A new profession appeared. Keepers who agreed to sit in your apartment and make sure nothing productive happened for a chosen hour. They hid laptops, told jokes, and left a card. You have wasted your hour well. By the second month, people stopped asking if sleeplessness was miracle or theft and started smaller, better questions. What belongs today? What belongs tonight? When do we speak? And when do we let silence hold the floor? Mira noticed customers buying clocks in pairs, old brass that argued with seconds, and new models that displayed 2 times, sun and moon. "It's good," they said, to hear something tick. Near dawn on a not dawn, a woman brought a box of broken pocket watches. "He kept them all," she said of a grandfather who had risen at 4. Mira laid the watches out like sleeping animals, then smiled at the mistake. She could fix 5 and teach the rest. They worked until birds made an old joke of the light, because even without sleep, the world still lashed itself gently to morning. By summer, calendars wore 2 inks, work and waking, no longer synonyms. A mayoral candidate promised to protect the dark the way the city protects parks. The slogan sounded silly until you tried one of Mira's chairs at 3 a.m., listening to a street that had learned to hum instead of shout. The gift's price had become clear. Time is cheap when you have too much, and most things grow careless when they feel cheap. So, the city practiced clumsily, beautifully, making a currency out of attention. At year's end, Mira closed the studio for a single night and hung a sign. Back when the sky changes its mind. People knocked, read, smiled. She carried a chair to the roof. Neighbors arrived with fruit, with stories, with nothing. No one yawned, no one hurried. The sleepless city, bright and full of hours, rested without sleeping. Just enough to remember how,